Hello chess family, it's me National Master Jesse James, and today we're going over 18 Scandinavian traps. That's right, let's conquer the Scandy. Here we go. Let's start off with a very nice one in the Tennessee Gambit style. We start with e4, d5. Here we go, Team Scandy. Knight f3, maybe not the best move here, but it does work out in this Gambit line, right? After pawn takes knight g5, we have the Tennessee Gambit looking position. Knight g5 attacking the pawn, knight f6 to defend. Pawn to d3, this sets up for the trap, at least what they think is the trap. Now pawn takes, bishop takes, pawn to h6, and now we go to play. Knight takes on f7, excellent. Now this is the Tennessee Gambit right here. And this is very typical. After king takes, bishop to g6 check. Here the idea is that the bishop is guarding over here on the e8 square. And here we go with king takes, queen takes, and white is winning. Now here we're going to go a little bit further because black does have one resource here to win back. Black plays pawn e5 right here. Queen takes on c8. This is the trap now for black to go ahead and get him back. What was the idea? Well, now we're going to go ahead and play bishop to b4 check with the discovery, winning this queen. And, well, we can go ahead and say something like happens like c3, takes, and rook takes. And, well, black is now in the winning position. Here we go. Let's go on to the next Scandinavian trap over here. And this time in the Blackmore-Demer Gambit. You can see that there's lots of Gambit lines when it comes to Scandinavian. Here we go with e4, d5, pawn to d4. This is called the Blackmore-Demer Gambit, at least whenever they start taking the pawns. So with pawn takes, knight c3, knight f6, f3. This is definitely where the Blackmore-Demer Gambit comes from. They typically take here, and here we take with the queen. Now this is the double pawn sacrifice. If you want to, you could just play something like knight takes on f3 here, which is still a very good game. It's almost like looking like a Smith-Morra Gambit, if you will. But here, well, let's go for that full Blackmore-Demer Gambit. Queen takes on f3, saying, hey, do you want this d4 pawn? Hey, please go ahead and take it. After queen takes on d4, white gets tons of compensation for attacks here. And here, white does not settle for anything less. Here they go ahead and play bishop e3, attacking the queen. Queen to b4, question mark. Now we have castling queenside. And here, black will fall for this typical trap. Bishop g4. And why is this bad? I mean, what's it doing? It's attacking the queen, it's attacking the rook. How could this be bad? Well, it's white to move. Feel free to push pause if you want to and see if you can figure out what white plays to get a winning position. Mind you, this is the only winning move in this position. Here, we get to play knight to b5. Here this threatens knight takes on c7 for checkmate. Okay, well, they're going to go ahead and not do that, right? They're going to take? Okay, well, knight takes on c7 is check and mate. There really is no good response to that move. All right, here we go again with another Scandinavian trap. And this one I like to call win the bishop. Here we go. e4, d5, Scandy time. Pawn takes, queen over to f3, queen to a5. Here we go with knight to c3. All very basic moves here so far. And this is called the Mises Kotrick variation, at least if we're on Lichess, that is. Knight f6, d4. Again, this is kind of transposing into a regular Lichess, or I'm sorry, a regular Scandinavian game. Pawn c6, bishop d2, bishop g4, queen to g3, e6, and here white has a very nice move. A very common idea is to look for these discoveries against the queen with the knight. Do you see it? It's white to move and win. Here we go, simple chess. Knight to b5 can get played, and here, well, can't we just go ahead and take the knight? Well, you can't take it because bishop takes over here on b5. Wait, did I mention that this is actually a trap here for black? Black actually has the winning move here. How is this winning? I mean, isn't knight c7 check being threatened and the queen's defending? If the queen moves away, isn't it just black losing here? It is if you don't find the winning move here. All right, black to move. What do you do to get a winning position? All right, hope you push pause, try to figure it out. Here we actually have queen takes on d2 check. How many people you guys look for that move? Remember, whenever you're in these kind of positions, look for checks, captures, and threats. This was a good check. After king takes, hopefully now you see the idea. Knight to e4 check. King d3, doesn't really matter where they move. Knight takes on g3, and here we're just getting into a winning position. As you see, we're going to be getting that extra piece. All right, on to the next one. Here we go. Another Scandinavian trap. e4, d5, pawn takes, knight to c3, attacking the queen. Again, very typical variation here. Queen back to d8. Yes, we do know those chess players with that play to bring the queen out to bring the queen right back. Pawn to d4, white takes up the center. Knight c6, knight to f3, bishop to g4. Typically not a very good move here because, well, this allows white to play this really strong move here. White plays pawn to d5. Now, typically this is going to be winning in lots of positions, and here black just falls right into it. He goes ahead and plays knight to e5. Do you know this one? I'll give you a hint. Take my queen, or oh no, my queen over here. Here we get to play knight takes on e5 over here, and after bishop takes on d1, well, now we get to bring that bishop out in check. Do not capture back, as this will be bad for you. The bishop to b5 check, c6, pawn takes, and it really doesn't matter where the queen moves to, as there's going to be too much discoveries over here. You'll at least be winning back your piece. Here we'll go ahead and say queen c7 got played, and here the game ended with pawn takes, king over to d8, and, well, you're more than welcome to take this rook over here. Even better is knight takes f7, check and mate in one, even ending with a nice little fork here. All right, on to our next one. Here we go, trapped queen or fork. It's you who gets to choose. Here we go, e4, d5, Scandinavian. Pawn takes, queen takes, knight c3. Again, we got that Mises Kotruk variation. Queen over to a5, knight to f3, bishop g4, a very popular place for this bishop. Just be careful if you're playing this for black, because the bishop is unprotected, at least for now. Here we go, h3, bishop takes, queen takes, a nice move here, winning the piece back, of course, and also putting pressure on the b7 pawn. Here they go, knight to c6, and here we go, bishop to b5. Here we're threatening bishop takes on c6, at least winning a pawn here. Now, most people don't want to deal with this, so they're going to go ahead and play queen back to b6 just to defend. I mean, you're more than welcome to castle queenside here and give up the pawn. Maybe even that's a better way to play. But here, now white gets a very strong move to play. White to move, what do? Here we have this very nice forking idea with knight to d5. In each place that the queen tries to move to, it's just going to be bad for it. Well, of course, we're asking here, why can't we take the bishop over here? Hopefully now you see the idea. It's knight takes on c7 check, forking the queen and the king. A nice royal fork. Okay, what about queen c5? Well, we again take on c7, again forking, which only leaves one move to try and play, which is queen to a5. But again, we have a good move to harass this queen. What do you play here? The game ain't over till it's over. Here you get to play pawn to b4, and the queen is truly trapped here. Of course, the knight cannot take, as the bishop is pinning it. And, well, where does the queen move to? Here, queen takes on b5, forced, or else you're just going to lose your queen for a pawn. Knight takes on c7, and we'll call that a game. White to win again. All right, here we go. Scandinavian trap, smother mate, or the win of the queen. Here we go. e4, d5, it's Scandy time. Pawn takes, queen takes. Knight over to c3, attacking the queen. Queen to a5, d4, always a good move. Knight to f6, bishop c4, a very nice little move order here. Notice that they're not moving the knight out to f3, because a little game in the Scandinavian is that the bishop wants to come to g4 to pin it. So you see how white delays this for as long as possible. c6, queen e2. I mean, if you're playing this as white, you know the trap you're setting. If you're looking at this from black perspective, be careful for this move. This sets up a very nice smother mate idea. Bishop to f5. Bishop d2, again, like I said last time, now that the bishop's on d2 eyeing it, there's lots of moves like knight to d5 and knight to b5 here, as the bishop will be defending, and the bishop will be surprise attacking or discovering against the queen. Here, black was not paying attention, played knight to d7. All right, white to move and win. What do you play here? It's definitely one of these moves of knight to d5, knight to b5, and here we're going to play knight to b5 here. And again, we see there's no good place for the queen to move to, because we have a really strong threat of knight to d6 check. I mean, well, we'll go and just go with the regular game if the queen goes to b6. Mind you, if the queen did go back to d8, now we do have that very nice smothers mate of knight to d6 checkmate. Again, this is why the queen was placed here. That's why in a lot of positions, you'll see many skilled players play pawn to e6 first. So here we go. Queen goes to b6, and now we just get a nice fork. Knight check, king to d8, force move. Knight takes on f7 check, king over to e8, knight d6 check, king to d8, knight takes on f5. Now, you're more than welcome to take this rook over here, but winning the bishop over here for free was also a good choice. All right, on to our next one. This is actually a very nice game with a tactic in it with Nakamura versus Ferrugia. Oof, I really like this one. Let's check it out. Here we go, e4, d5. Pawn takes, queen takes. This actually introduces another gambit line I love to play, the Lionheart variation. Knight c3, queen to a5. And when they play this, I love to play, and apparently Naka loves to play, pawn to b4 here. This is just giving up a pawn, although if you put this into a computer, it only gives them a negative 0.2 advantage. Why is that so good? Well, when you consider it's supposed to be worth a full pawn, or negative 1.0, then, well, that means there's a lot of competition in the position, meaning there's lots of good attacking chances here for white. Well, if you don't take it, you're just going to be worse. So, queen takes on b4, rook to b1, the main idea of this gambit line. queen back to d6, and now basically you're just going to develop your pieces here and get a good game. One of the good things about the rook here on b1 is that it puts pressure on b7, so a lot of people will bring the bishop out and they'll actually just lose the pawn on b7. Let's see how Farouza tries to handle this. d4, queen back to d8, bishop c4, always a good square for that bishop, knight f6, knight f3, e6 castles, bishop e7. You can see that black has lost a lot of time in this game. Knight e5, castles, rook e1, c5, a good move here, trying to get rid of the only pawn in the center for white. But here Naka plays the very strong d5 here, takes, bishop to e6, and believe it or not, this was the blunderful move. It looks like a very standard move as it's just being protected. But here Naka finds a beautiful idea and a trap that we can use in our own games. White to move and play. What do you play here? Alright, hopefully you found it. Here you get to play the amazing move of knight takes on f7. Any way that you take is just losing. This is all based off the bishop not being protected anymore. And, well, if they do take back with the bishop here, then the bishop on e7 is now unprotected since the rook is now putting pressure on it. And, of course, if you play rook takes, well, then we'll simply just take here on e6. So the game went ahead and ended. Oops. After king takes on f7, here we're going to go ahead and play rook takes on e6. Another very good move here. Of course, there's no need for him to take, but here he just went ahead and took, and I'm just going to show you the rest because it's so cool. Here we go with king takes, knight takes check, king takes on f6, it's now forced checkmate, and Naka is going to find it, of course. Queen f3, king over to e5, queen g3 check, king over, bishop e2 check, and at this point he just went ahead and resigned as well. After king takes on c4, it's checkmate and 1. Here we have queen to b3 for check and mate. All right, here we're going to grab another very nice tactical idea or trap in the opening from another game, this time from a Elite Chess game. And here we go, e4, d5, pawn takes, knight c3. We got our Scandinavian idea. Queen e5 check. We've all played against that one player that does not know the rule that you should not be making multiple moves in the opening with your queen. So how do we defend? Go ahead and defend against this. We're going to go and develop our pieces and then attack the queen. So here, bishop e2, c6, knight f3 attacking the queen. Queen back to c7, d4, e6, castles, b6, rook over to e1, bishop to b7, and here, this is, again, that very strong move. If you're able to play this move in the game without losing, then you're usually going to get a very good game, if not just winning. What was the move here? This goes into that very nice back rank idea. We play pawn to d5 exclam. Okay, there's like 1, 2, 3 defenders here. Well, we just happen to have a few attackers here too. Here we go. Pawn takes, knight takes, bishop takes, and what was the move here? Hopefully you see it. It's queen takes on d5. Okay, can we not just take the queen? You can, and hopefully now you see the tactical idea. Here it's checkmate in 2 moves. What do you play here? Simple chess. You get that very nice back rank idea. Bishop to b5 check, king to d8, and rook to e8 for mate. All right, we got another trap here with the Lionheart. Again, one of my favorite ways to play against a Scandinavian. e4, d5, pawn takes, knight c3, queen to a5, and here we play pawn to b4, the Lionheart. Queen takes on b4, knight to b5 here, a very interesting idea. Typically, I always play rook to b1, so I might be trying out this knight b5 to get this trap in here. Here, queen a5 got played, and here was the move bishop to c4, and black plays a very benign or good-looking move with pawn c6. And you're like, how is this bad? This is truly a trap. It's white to move, and well, you're going to be winning here. All right, if you found this one, I am very impressed. Here we're going to play bishop takes on f7 check. Okay. King takes on f7. If you don't take back, you're just losing. Queen h5 check, and here is the idea. The queen is attacking the king, but one of the main ideas is that the queen is looking to discover against this queen. Remember, anytime this knight moves, especially if it's a check, this queen will just take this queen. So here, black just fumbles right into it. He plays king f6. He's like, I'm not going to lose my queen. But here, yeah, white's just got too much attacking chances now. Now it's +7. Here we go. Bishop b2 check. Pawn to e5. Bishop takes on e5 check. King over to e7. Knight c7 here, looking to win the rook. But also another idea here, bishop d6 check. Again, discovery against the queen. Knight f6 was played, and this just walks right into it. Here we go. Bishop takes, king takes, and queen takes on a5. Again, in a very easily winning position. All right, next on to the next one. Trap the queen. Here we go. We start with e4, d5, pawn takes, knight c3 attacking the queen. Queen over to a5, d4. Unfortunately, we're not getting my line hard. We're just playing the main line over here. knight f6, knight f3, bishop g4. Again, that little tricky situation. Bring your bishop up before bringing the knight out, so you have to deal with this pin. h3, queen to h5, and believe it or not, I have seen this in my game, and so again, I want to go ahead and memorize this tactical idea, but believe it or not, pawn takes on g4 here. Wait a second, wasn't the whole idea about this that the rook is hanging? So this was the cool idea. After queen takes, the queen is actually trapped. There's no squares for the queen to move to. So now all you have to do is find a way to go and attack it. It's already a +5 position. And here white figured out the idea. It's knight to e2 with the simple idea knight to g3. I mean, the knight's more than welcome to take or move over here. Either way, it just won't work out. And, well, knight to g4 can get played, and knight to g3 with the queen being trapped. All right, on to the next one. A nice checkmate. Here we go. e4, d5. Pawn takes, queen takes, Scandinavian. Knight c3, queen to a5, d4, knight c6. Again, be careful about this knight c6 idea. What does it allow? Hopefully you've been paying attention. It allows d5 here. Black plays knight b4, and again, this is something that you might see. Again, more experienced players will know against this because they know you're not supposed to be playing the knight to b4 or allowing d5 in general. You're supposed to make those pinchers, as Eric Rosen will say, with e6 and c6, right? So here we go. This is the idea, a3. Again, just like the last game, you're saying, well, we can't take or else we lose the rook, right? This is indeed the trap. Here we go. Bishop to f5, threatening knight takes on c2, threatening to go queenside. How can this be so bad? White to move and win. We play bishop to b5 check. There's only two moves here, king to d8, and also pawn c6. Both of these are losing. And here c6 just falls right for it. Now we take on b4 here. There's nothing better to take the rook, and after pawn takes rook to d8, now we have a very nice checkmate. Pawn takes bishop block. Do you see the checkmate in 2 here? Hopefully you do. Queen takes on d7 check. Rook takes, and let's just make a rook here. It looks for a very nice checkmate. All right, on to the next one. 250,000 players have fallen for this trap. Here we go. e4, d5, Scandy time. Pawn takes, queen takes, knight to c3. Queen back to d8, bishop c4, knight f6, knight f3. We're setting it up. Bishop g4, question mark. Remember, be careful about this unprotected bishop. Here we have that oh no my queen moment with knight to e5 threatening on g4 and also threatening on f7. Here most players will just resign or just give up, and they're just going to go ahead and take your queen, and you're going to say thank you, and I'm going to go ahead and do this checkmate. All right, here we go. Another Scandinavian trap, this time in a Scotch-like position. Here we go with e4, d5. Knight to f6, knight c3, we have the modern variation, knight takes, and well, the idea was with the queen on d5, it's not so bad here because, well, we can't go up to attack the queen anymore. All right, knight to f3, here we go, e5, bishop to e2, apparently a bad move here. This is actually in reverse colors for black here, and here we get to play pawn to e4. Notice in this position that this knight cannot move anywhere good. All right, here we go, knight to h4, just a bad square for this knight, and believe it or not, there's nowhere for this knight to move to. Here we go, g5, you can see that every square is taken up, so the knight is just trapped. All right, on to the next one. Here we have what's called the Algerian Gambit. While doing research for the Scandinavian traps, I did not know about this line, and apparently it is a very fun line and a lot of great traps for it. Here we go, e4, d5, pawn takes, knight to f6, modern variation, pawn c4. Here they try to hold on to this pawn, but what does black play? Pawn to c6, a very nice idea. Here if they take back, black will just have better development and full control over this d4 square. So pawn takes, knight takes. Now you see that we have full control over d4. Here we go, d3, pawn to e5, knight to c3. Apparently this one is also known as the Panov transfer, at least on Lichess. Here we go, bishop c5. Black is just looking good here. I mean, you would not guess that he's down a pawn, but look at these pieces. They're just looking great. Bishop g5, castles, knight to e4. Now we have the Legals trap in reversed. If you know what the Legals trap is, you know exactly what to do here. Black to move. What do? Here we go. It's knight takes on e4, exclam, of course. After bishop takes on d8, now we get that legal trap. Bishop takes on f2 check, king to e2, and knight to d4 for a checkmate. All right, here we go. Another Scandinavian trap. Here we go. e4, d5, pawn takes, knight to f6, the modern variation, knight f3. Here we go, bishop f5. Again, a very typical way to play. d4, knight takes, c4. Here white tries to take up a very strong center. Knight to b4, looking to get knight to c2 check in. Here white has only one little defense here. Queen to a4 check was unfortunately not it. Here they should be looking to try to play at least knight to a3. But queen a4 check gets played, knight c6, and this is the problem. White tries pawn to d5, thinking, well, this is just great. Everything is guarded, and I'm just going to go ahead and win the knight over here. Now, there's a few different ways to win here, but the best is going to be knight to c2 check, king to d1, knight takes on a1, and notice that the knight cannot be taken as they are back into a pin, and you have another threat in this position. What's the threat? Here you're threatening to win the queen with bishop to c2 check. Knight d4 can get played here, but what do? Bishop takes on b1. Again, you cannot take, or else the bishop c2 idea check can get played. I mean, you could take with the knight here, I'm saying, but you can't take with you can take with the pawn, but you just can't take with the knight. Knight takes, queen to d7. Let's go ahead and pin it and win it. And at this point, well, black's just in a winning position. All right, here we have a very nice checkmate in 13 over here against the Scandinavian. e4, d5, pawn takes, knight f6. Knight to f3, bishop to g4. This is the modern variation. Bishop b5 check, knight to d7, h3, bishop to h5. Here, white will sometimes push back this bishop and try to trap it. I know I like to do that myself. c4, e6, g4, bishop to g6, queen to e2, a6, and here we go. Pawn takes on e6, and here, well, black got a little too greedy and played. Pawn takes on b5. It is now a forced checkmate in 4. Feel free to push pause if you want to figure it out. All right, hopefully you push pause and figured it out. Here we have pawn takes f7 check, king takes. Of course, the bishop could not take because of the double check here. That means only one move, king takes. Now you have knight g5 check, king to g8, and I think you might know this pattern. Here we go. Queen e6 check, and then mate. All right, here we go. Only 2 more left. We're going to do what a pin. When a pin is actually not a pin, also known as a relative pin. Here we go, e4, d5, pawn takes, knight to f6. Again, we got this modern variation. Knight c3, knight takes, bishop c4, knight b6, bishop back to b3, knight c6, knight f3, bishop g4. Again, like I've said, be careful when you bring this bishop out over here. If it's unprotected, now you get all these great variations. Hopefully you know what to play now. Here, a very nice basic trap. Bishop takes on f7 check, king takes, knight to g5 check, king back to g8, and queen takes g4. Not only do you win a pawn here, but the king is very much misplaced. All right, I saved the best for last over here. Here we got that Scandinavian defense, and this time we get a king hunt. Let's hunt down this king in the middle of the board. Here we go, e4, d5, pawn takes, knight f6, modern variation, knight c3, knight to d5, bishop c4, knight back to b6, bishop back to b3, knight c6, knight f3, e5, d3. Here, black actually is in a pretty good position until he plays the very bad move of bishop g4. Remember, today, guys, bishop g4 can't be a weakness in your game because it's unprotected. All right, here we go. I know a lot of people here are saying, can't we just play the bishop takes f7 check here? Believe it or not, this is actually a mistake. After king takes, knight to g5 check, queen takes on g5, and now, well, black is just going to be winning up a piece. So here, believe it or not, after bishop g4, we're going to play pawn to h3. Now, this is done on purpose because we're trying to bring the bishop away. All right, bishop h5 got played, and this was the mistake. It is now white to move. What do you do here? Simple chess. Well, maybe it's not so simple for some, but it is simple for some of us. Here we go. Knight takes on e5. There's so many different moves in this position, but basically it's oh no, my queen time. Here we go. Bishop takes on d1. Bishop takes on f7 check, and here we're going to make this king run all the way down the board. King over to e7. Bishop g5 check. King to d6. Knight e4 check. You're more than welcome to grab this queen, but believe it or not, you would not be winning. Here it's best to attack the king. Knight to e4 check. King takes. f4 check. Either way that they move, they will get mated. In the game, king to d4 is going to be the move. So look at king f5. Here, what do you play? Knight to g3, checkmate in 1, and all the squares are taken up by the pieces. So king back to d4. And now, well, let's just keep pushing them. Rook takes on d1 here. Now we're threatening pawn to c3 for the check and the mate. Okay. Bishop to e7 got played. King over to f2. Oh, was c3 not checkmate there? Ah, I'm so sorry. That was not checkmate as the king can go to e3. So after king goes to f2, now we are guarding this e3 square. And now c3 is indeed the checkmate. Bishop to b4, but here it just doesn't matter. Forced checkmate in 2. Check and mate. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this. If you haven't already, go ahead and give us that like and subscribe. and we'll see you in the next video.